And welcome to RCDroneQuest, where we talk about tech, drones, general flying information, and just things you need to know before you take to the sky. RCDroneQuest. I'm Jeff Zayas from Napa, California, and welcome to RCDroneQuest.
Dwayne Myers from absolutely. So yeah, Dwayne Myers from not so sunny Pennsylvania this week,
and Dustin Myers from sunny South Florida.
So yeah,
all
guys.
Right, well,
yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, I was going to say, who wants to start it off? Because I haven't been flying because of personal stuff, so I've been very laxed on my flying capabilities. So, who's up?
Take it away, Dwayne.
All right. Yeah. So since I guess the last time we connected a couple weeks ago, got a little bit of flying in. I think one of the things we're going to talk about a little bit later on is the use of DJI, or not DJI. We already talked about their filters, but the Polar Pros. I'll talk a little bit about the DJI filters also, and why I switched from the DJI ones to the actual Polar Pro, and in particular the cinematic polarized ones, and a little bit about what you need to know if you decide to go with those or the non-polarized ones. But yeah, I haven't gotten too much flying in. It's been either too windy or rainy around here. Common, springtime. So, but gotten out and done some regular RC flying though. Having fun with that. How about you, Dustin?
I've done a little flying since last time we talked. I did a cool job up in outside of Orlando for the Swiss skiing school. They had a slalom competition, so the idea was to go up there and do a live broadcast with the Inspire. They had a box that they plugged all their feeds in, and they had ground-based cameras with like Paralinks wireless transmission from the ground cameras. But because the guy has an Inspire 2, and when he tested it the day before, he didn't test it through the converter box. So when I came the next day and we had my Inspire remote and the HDMI out, they weren't getting anything. It would like come on for a second, then go off. So we tried his Inspire 2, didn't work. So basically the competition basically was starting 30 minutes after I got there, and we had no time to troubleshoot it because they're troubleshooting audio. So there was no live Skycam like they wanted, but I still got to fly the guy's Inspire 2 all day and chase the boat and skiers, so that was pretty cool. And then I mentioned earlier before the show started to you guys about the Tiny Whoop bar race that we've been doing around here. So for anyone that doesn't know what a Tiny Whoop is, it's just a micro drone that fits in the palm of your hand, it's brushed, and you fly FPV, so you wear the goggles. And we got a local bar to agree to let us go in there, set up gates, and race each other. And it was really fun. I ended up winning just by a point, and my prize was a $50 bar tab, and then a 3D printed poop emoji. I have it sitting on my shelf at work, but it's just a poop emoji on a pedestal, spray painted, sparkly, just kind of a fun thing. So yeah, that's been my flying time.
Wow, you're the championship caliber flying guy.
Man, it was close, and I'm the one who organized it and was keeping score, so pretty much I just made myself win,
Yeah, right.
No, I'm just kidding. I won fair and square, but it was close.
So what do you think about talking about the Tiny Whoop? What do you think about, did you see the announcement from Horizon Hobby on their
version 2?
Yeah, the pro version of the what do they call that? The basically the Tiny Whoop, right? But
I think it's called the FPV Pro.
Inductrix. Yeah, the FPV Inductrix Pro.
So a friend of mine actually just sent me a link to that today, and I hadn't seen it before. Apparently it has motors that are faster than the old stock one. The same camera that you can buy, it's like $120, and I think that's about what you would spend if you built one yourself. So for somebody that's like hesitant to build something themselves for the first time, I think it's probably a good option. I have a couple friends that came came to that bar race last week, and we're like, and strangers too, they're like, man, how do we get into this? What's the cheapest way to get into this? And they have like an all-in-one $200 package, but you're going to want to put 30, 40 more dollars in it to upgrade. So I think that version 2 might be a good route to go.
You still have to have the goggles, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of budget goggles. I mean, you can get the really big single monitor ones that look dorky as heck, but the picture's great. And I mean, you can get those for like $50 from
they're cheap.
Your Best or Banggood. And for a first goggle to see if you want to get into FPV, I think that's a good route to go.
Yeah, especially in a closed area like that, like, you know, bar type area.
Yeah. Yeah. And man, I've just been on the Tiny Whoop train hard lately because it's cheaper flying my mini quad stuff, you know, breaking stuff all the time, and the wing, I break stuff all the time. So Tiny Whoop's a lot cheaper, and just being strapped for time, you can do a battery or two just inside your house. You don't have to go somewhere to fly. You can do it, you know, pretty much anywhere. So that's what I've been, the Kool-Aid I've been sipping lately.
Yeah, and with the $200 package, correct me if I'm wrong, Dustin, but the from Horizon, you don't get the goggles, but you do get a self-contained monitor that basically clips to the top of the remote.
Yeah,
it's affectionately called the Batwing remote because it looks like a little, you know, it looks like a little game controller really, but it looks like that, yeah. And then the monitor clips on top, and for $200, I mean, that's
just for somebody that's like, you know, like my friends and one of the guys, they're single guys, you know, they have good jobs, and for them to just plop down $200, just get something they can try to find out if they like it or not is a good option, I think.
Yeah, that's cool. Neat.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of the DJI goggles that came out?
I really want to try them. I'm sure they're awesome.
The functionality really looks cool with the integrated touchpad on the side and what have you. My only concern is that when you consider something like a Fat Shark goggle that we use for FPV racing, the latency, so that's the time between the point at which the video signal is created, the point at which it's received and then displayed, the latency on a Fat Shark set of goggles is extremely low, on the order of 10 milliseconds, if that, because it's all an analog transmission path. So it's almost instantaneous between the time it's transmitted and received. You know, there is some lag, but you stick inputs, craft moves, it all feels natural and locked in, such that the picture moves when you move a stick. When you look at the DJI goggles, the latency is 110 milliseconds. So it's quite high. Yet there's
not flying at super high speeds.
That's somewhat the difference, right? So if you're familiar with the flight test folks who do all the foam board airplanes, they did a pretty cool video on basically it was what do you want to call it? You know, it wasn't, they weren't paid to do an advertisement, right? So they received the goggles. They got out to, you know, just to recap on part of what the video goes through, they got out to the field and they were actually they were there to shoot something else. Forgot their battery packs for all their foam models that they were going to shoot, but had the goggles with them. So they turned it into that. And so it was just off the cuff. Let's put them on and see what it's like. And they were amazed at how clear the picture was. I mean, it was absolutely an HD picture, which was stunning in their opinion. And they didn't seem to have any problem with the latency. And they were just navigating smooth, you know, slow and smooth through trees and panning shots. And it was actually quite remarkable.
And I guess you can configure it so when you turn your head, it's just moving the gimbal, not the, you know.
Yeah. So it has head tracking built into the goggle. And I think you can do two modes. One where you lock it to the gimbal so it looks around when you look around. And I don't know if the other one actually pans the Mavic when you look.
Yeah, I don't. Probably does, I would imagine.
How do they only work with the Mavic, or do they work with the Phantom and the Inspire as well?
So some features, all the features work with the Mavic, and some of the features work with like the Phantom 4, the Inspire through the HDMI port. Like the head tracking, for instance, only works with, I believe, with the Mavic and the Phantom 4 Pro. But the other features, yeah, it all basically works with some limitations for the other platforms, like the Inspire and Inspire 2.
And it's only $200 more than getting an extra controller, right? Because now they have the slave controller where you can have one person fly, one person control the
which is pretty cool itself.
Yeah, so that's for $200 more than an extra. You can almost have one person fly it and the other person frame the shot. Yeah.
Honestly, the price point is not bad when you consider, even the Fat Shark goggles, right? When you, there's a common product called the Dominator HDs, up to like version 3 or something now, and those things cost, they're like $350 or something.
Oh, man. I think they're more than that. I think they're like $450, $500.
And they don't come with a receiver, so you got to buy a receiver to receive the signal, or have a receiver that you're going to plug in through an HDMI connector into the goggles. So you don't get touchpad, you don't get the menuing system. So I'm guessing the goggles, the DJI goggles, are actually running like Android or something, and have the app actually inside the goggles, so you get all the menus, everything. So you don't have to look at the Mavic controller. You use that only for the sticks, and to tap, the record and photo, and even those functions you can get to through that touchpad.
But it would be kind of hard holding onto the sticks and going up here, so you would need that third hand that I didn't mutate it yet, so don't have that.
But I mean, it looks impressive though.
Yeah, those goggles, they don't have a like a 5.8 receiver or anything in them. It's just for the DJI.
Right.
Light.
It's OcuSync, right?
Okay.
It's OcuSync. Yeah, which is
just OcuSync.
Which honestly is 2.4 or 5.8, but it's not like we transmit for the for the FPV stuff.
And it doesn't support HDMI in. Is that correct?
No, it does. It has an HDMI mini port. Yeah. So you can actually, they were saying that you could, actually some of the neat features is with the HDMI port, you could plug your computer into it, use them for FPV sim, for instance. It has an SD card slot, so you can take the card out of the Mavic, plug that in, right, and actually watch your content. And it has playback menus and everything through that trackpad, so you can actually review your footage in the field. I mean, it's impressive for the price.
Are they out yet? Like, can you go on there and buy them?
Yeah. You may have to wait right now.
Okay.
They had the pre-order out about a month ago.
And what's the price?
$450, is it?
I thought $495, but you're probably right. $450. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought they were like $799 or something. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
They're under $500.
Well, how small? I probably should have looked into this before we started recording. But how small do they pack down?
That was a
pretty big. It has that,
They look big, and
as
somebody that used to have head plays, and Dwayne, don't you have head plays or used to?
Yeah, I have. It's something that's like a head play. Yep.
So, traveling, even if it's just across the state and you want to pack light or something, it was always a pain in the butt to have those head plays because they had to basically be in their own bag. So, taking something that's super portable like the Mavic and adding those goggles, while it's cool, I can see how that would turn into a pain in the rear really fast.
So the joke on the street is that the Mavic packs down smaller than the goggles. The goggles themselves can break into two pieces. So you have the physical headpiece that is the strap, and inside that is the batteries and actually a set of antennas to give you the best reception. And so that clicks into the actual goggle portion, and there's like a little mini coax and a couple other connectors for the batteries and what have you. I think that's all that's in there. But so that you push a button up front and that unclicks from the physical goggles. That's the smallest they break down. So you got this big ring basically, and then you got the head plate like front end. It's a little bit smaller than the head plays, but basically.
I got to get my hands on a pair.
Yeah, at least to try, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you can't try it before you buy it. You got to get someone who has it.
Well, I imagine you could go, if when you're in town, right, up to New York, right? They have a DJI store actually up there. Maybe actually put your hands on there.
Do they sell any at the Apple stores?
What's that?
Do they sell any of them at the Apple stores? Because I thought Apple sold.
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, products. I know they had the Phantom, and not every Apple store did, but I know some of them sold Phantoms, and I think even Mavics.
Yeah, let me.
I'll have to look into that.
I wonder.
He's looking right now.
I am.
Yeah, I think for somebody like yourself, Dwayne, or me, who already has goggles that you can use with a Mavic, if you have an Android tablet or just anything that'll output the HDMI to the goggles. But for someone that doesn't have goggles and only flies DJI stuff, it seems like a pretty good deal.
For the occasional. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say the best deal is just using the Litchi app and getting a cheap set of.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was going, right? So you we have Micro Centers around here, or even Target, right? And you get these plastic boxes, right? That basically is like the Google Cardboard, but they're plastic, so they hold up better than cardboard. And you snap your phone in there, throw the Litchi app on it, with the FPV mode. And for as much as you probably use that mode, that'd probably work just fine. And the one thing I love about the Mavic controller is the simple fact that it has so much controllability on that, on the box, with the record and the photo and everything is there, everything you need.
Yeah.
So if you know your controls, even the joystick, you can do the 5-way and the click, and you can get most of your stuff before you put on the FPV and fly the shot.
Exactly.
But
have you guys tried the slave remote at all? Do you know?
No.
I have a guy that I work with that has one, and we keep saying we're going to go out and test it out.
Yeah, okay. You have to let us know. I think you can. So the pilot in command, right, the primary, has override capability. So whenever they put a stick input in, that'll override whatever the slave is doing. I think you can actually put like the camera itself on the slave. So I think you can, which would be the most powerful, use of something like that.
Yeah, but I don't know if you see the camera view from the slave.
Yes, you do. It will repeat the image, which is something you can never do, like with the Phantom 3, at least the standard. You could never get that second image without like an HDMI repeater or something.
Yeah, I wonder how far away you can be from the master.
Yeah, I don't know if they're talking to each other or if they're talking directly to the Mavic. The Mavic's handling the.
Well, I think you have to physically put it in slave mode somehow. I don't know how, right? And
yeah, I think that's in the DJI Go app. But yeah, it may. I don't know.
Because that would be even better, because you can then go to an area that's shady, another person's flying the thing, and they could really see a good view of it and select the shot.
Dustin's going to have to find out now. Tell us.
Assignment, homework.
That's right.
I like those assignments.
Yeah, my brother actually, they got one at work because they like to fly a bunch of shots, and so maybe I can bribe him to bring home a controller temporarily.
Heck yeah.
Give that a go. Cool. trying to bribe him to get one, but
Speaking of friends with Mavics, my good friend from college got a Mavic. He's had little like indoor drones, and he used to have a Phantom that he didn't fly very much, so he sold it. And he just got a Mavic, and he crashed it into a tree in sport mode at like 80 feet, and it tumbled all the way down, and the camera broke off. There were superficial dents and scratches on the outside. He said it still flew, which I'm like, you tried to fly it after that? And he was like, yeah, I want to see it work. But it did work, but he's got to send it in for repair. But he didn't get the refresh, DJI Care refresh. So, I don't know how much it's going to cost him, but probably like $400 or $500, I would think.
I've seen 250, I think.
Okay.
They'll basically do a refresh for 250.
Okay.
So you might be lucky. We'll see.
Yeah.
I love reading some of the thread posts on Mavic pilots of the guys that try and go underneath the log. Did you see that one?
Uh-uh.
Yeah. So he's flying along a little river. You can see the log coming up in the shot, right? And you see this Mavic stop, right? So it detected the log. And then you have to kind of guess that this guy turns off the obstacle avoidance, and then he goes down and he's getting close to the water, and then he's going forward, so he's going under the log, and all of a sudden it boom into the drink, and all you see is water come up over the camera, and it's like, come on.
Oh man, it's painful.
But you get what you deserve when.
Yeah, but refresh covers water damage if you can retrieve it. So
it does. Yep. Yeah. So that guy had refresh. I guess he got his money's worth. But the thing is, though, with refresh, isn't it $100?
I think it's $149 or something like that.
I got it.
It's $100, and then the next one's $149 or something like that.
So do you get one for free after you pay the refresh price?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think it's I thought the first one was 60 and the second one was like 150 or something like that.
Yeah.
You still have to pay $60.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Better than $250, I guess, but
yeah.
But they cover the shipping, so there you go.
Yeah. But hey, that could save you $20 or $40. Shipping's outrageous these days. Seems like.
Well, it's a similar story. My brother was on a Jeep ride, and there's a park up north of us, and so he's out and doing the one trail, and he looks up and there's a Mavic, right? The guy just launched it like within the last minute, right? So he started flying it backwards to get the shot, backs right into a tree and drops out of the sky, and that was it. That was done. It was like, really? But oh well. Need some reverse obstacle sensors, I guess.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I'm so careful flying because I'm so tentative. So,
That's good. More people be like that.
So here's a thought, right? Based on the last comment of backing into a tree. Remember, you can always fly the shot in opposite direction when you have obstacle avoidance, and then reverse the direction of the footage when you actually do the
reveal.
final.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you can always fly the shot forward and then reverse the direction of the shot in the actual.
Yeah. Unless you're trying to follow a biker, then it's gonna be backwards.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, you got to plan the shot. It's all about planning the shot, not hitting that. Yeah, is what it comes down to.
Exactly. Yeah. And
so
there's lots of ways to do it too, right? You can, there's definitely lots of ways to do it.
So talking about new firmware, what firmware do you know what firmware you're on?
I just updated 3 days ago, so whatever that was.
So you're probably on 0.7.
Yeah, and I took it out immediately. There was no problem. But
have you been doing the updates? And I'll get to where I'm going with this in a second.
Have I been doing all the updates?
Yeah,
I have not.
I'm curious.
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to say I'm on like 0.3.
Wow, you're that far, which is okay. I mean, that is what it is. One thing I have noticed, as you know, and this is my personal observation, right, is that as I've been doing the upgrades, that the craft has been getting more stable and more locked in. I flew, so we have a brand new elementary school that they're building. You know, I live basically 3 doors down from the whole entire high school, junior high, now this new elementary school that they're building complex. So I just wanted to get some of the construction that they were doing. And I was just doing this side panning shot around the building, and the difference of, I've done this a couple times, each time with the new firmware, and I've just noticed how much more locked in it has been, even with wind, as the firmware has been, you know, updating. So I've been happy with the firmware updates. I know some people, if you read forum posts and stuff, some people are complaining about signal strength and what have you. And as many as you read that, you know, say it's worse, you read just as many saying it's better. So
yeah,
who knows? But I've been happy. Yeah, which possibly brings us to the next topic. Sometime tomorrow or the next day. So today's what? Tuesday. So in the next couple of days, DJI has threatened. Choose my words carefully there, right? That they're going to bring out a new DJI Go 4 app, which will be the Mavics, Pros, you know, 4 Pro and all that good stuff, and then the DJI Go app, which I'm, you know, side note, I'm surprised they haven't merged those 2 apps to include all of their products. That seems kind of weird. But anyhow, so apart from that, both apps still exist, but you're going to have to upgrade both apps, depending on what products you have, and then re-agree to the user agreement. And then the assumption is that it's going to force you to also at the same time upgrade your firmware, no matter what. You know, from your whatever you're currently on to the newest. So yeah, just some general thoughts on that.
You go first, Jeff. I've been talking too much.
No. You know, I think first of all, if you don't do it, it kind of locks it down, from what I understand, to like I want to say 30 meters radius and 98 feet in height. So you can't go beyond that, supposedly. So why would they do it? You know, they just want to be able to short circuit any kind of legislation against hobby aircraft, I think. You know, they're trying to, you know, show responsible flying in no-fly zones and things like that to kind of stop the trend of, you know, you have to do all these things for your drone, although we all know the recent legislation that, or court case that didn't pass or stopped it, the registering of the FAA. But I think that's part of it. They want to control it. They want to make sure that you update everything, and they, you know, they want to upsell you other products eventually. So I think that's why they're doing it.
Yeah,
my guess.
Yeah, and I have to agree. You know, partly, you know, possibly the litigation, right? They need to protect themselves. They're certainly selling tons of these things. I think someone estimated, you know, somewhere 600,000 is probably a way too big of a number, but I don't know. The very large number of DJI drones, right, as we call them, to everybody across the U.S. Everybody wants one, right? It's the latest craze. But as you sell more product, you open yourself to more exposure to people who honestly don't know how to fly them and don't do good things with them.
Yeah, and they're going to come out the Spark, which
responsible things, right? That's more the
and they're coming out with even a, you know, the Spark, which is even smaller, right?
Yeah, which tomorrow's announcement, right? Today being the 23rd, tomorrow they have some special announcement coming out. Everybody assumes it's the Spark, and if it's this, you know, even smaller, you know, little what they're calling a selfie drone, right? Throw it in your purse and take it with you, and and basically launch it out of your hand and have it turn around and, you know,
Yeah.
they have the technology that can recognize a face and can take a picture, right? The Mavic does it. And I guess maybe you use your cell phone as the, and a little bit of Wi-Fi or something as the means to talk to it. Yeah, you're going to have to protect yourself against people doing home things. Oh, I'm sorry, irresponsible things with them. Can you blame them?
Now, this update is the app and the firmware on the drones, or is it just the app?
It's the app, and you agree to the new user agreement through the app.
Okay.
And everybody's assuming that the app will also force all the firmware to be updated to the latest version. That's an assumption right now, right?
Okay. Yeah, I'm just
right now they support, and it's still posted the 0.4. What everybody is saying they're going to stick with, the 0.40 firmware, and that's still available on DJI's website, so you can downgrade to that so far until today. But everybody's assuming that the app is going to force you to upgrade to the latest 0.7, 0.75, whatever the heck the newest is going to be.
Yeah, I guess my concern is, or my thoughts are, more for the Inspire 1 that I have that is also on old firmware. There was a firmware update that bricked a lot of the X3 cameras, which is the camera I have, and it was like never solved, and so I never upgraded to it. And even now, like when I go and look at the Inspire forums, people will do updates and that camera will be bricked. So I'm wondering if it's going to force me to update the Inspire, which would really suck because I don't want to. But with the Inspire, it doesn't work how the Mavic works. You actually have to put the .bin file, which has the firmware, on the SD card and put it in the drone. It won't download it from the app and then to the flight controller on the drone. So I don't know if they'd be able to force that or what. I guess we'll find out.
Can you start the Inspire up without the camera actually on? I know you can take it off, the gimbal and camera unit.
Yep.
So maybe if you just took it off, because the firmware obviously lives within the camera itself that's working it.
Yeah.
So before you do it, and then it may not be compatible, maybe the other problem.
Yeah, but maybe when you connect it, when you make that connection, it automatically checks the internals from the drone itself and updates.
Well, if you pull the firmware upgrade file off the SD card, it's not going to cache.
I'm saying,
I can't imagine
which on the Inspire, the SD card goes into the camera.
Oh no!
So, but there is a I've never used it because I've always done the firmware updates through the SD card. But there is a micro USB plug on the body that I think you can do firmware updates through. But I never did it that way because so many people had problems doing it that way. I don't know. I think things have gotten better for the whole DJI line of drones since I first started messing with them. So
hopefully
I'll just put my head down and trust them like a good American consumer.
Well, they are smarter than we are. That's for sure.
No, it's false.
And they're the #1 drone maker in the world. I mean, they have the market share, man. They're not going to let go of it.
Oh yeah.
No, and So what's next, right? I mean, they continue to set the trend. I hate to say they liken themselves to the Apple, right? But they certainly imitate Apple in many ways.
Yeah.
What other drone maker compares?
Right. So they are setting the trends.
Yeah.
So if you don't like it, right, go buy a Unique, go buy a God forbid, a Chroma. I'm sorry, if
Karma,
you're a user, or Karma, user.
I don't even think you can buy 3D solos anymore.
I saw one at the Boeing store.
You can. They're dirt cheap. We got a couple of them at my work when they were like $300 for a package, and
Yeah.
They suck, man.
Yeah,
The whole user experience is not good. The only good thing about it is the flight controller has the open source software that you can put Python scripts on and run custom function stuff, which is what we use it for. But just the overall experience is not good. I mean, I get like 2,000 feet away and all connection is broken between the drone and the remote controller, and then the drone connects separately to the tablet that you're using. The tablet and the remote control don't plug into each other. They connect wirelessly, and then it's a Wi-Fi signal from the app to the drone, which, you know, the Wi-Fi signal sucks. It's just not good. The latency is terrible. So,
well, there you go. So, what's up next? Want to talk about you no longer have to register your drone?
Yeah, so that's interesting. If you want to kind of go there.
Quickly, just really quickly, a federal circuit court of appeals struck down the FAA forcing people to register their hobby drones. You still have to register it for commercial purposes, but if it's just for a hobby purposes, you do not have to register your drone with the FAA, even though it's over whatever, 0.5 pounds or 0.05 pounds, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the court basically said it's up to Congress to legislate that. They can't do it.
All right. They have no powers to make laws and rules. Right. So. Correct. Yeah. So it'll take a while for to get around to a real thing again.
I firmly believe that was linked to the DJI thing for some strange reason. I thought that they were getting a pushback, that you have to register all this stuff, and I think it kind of was linked. Why they're doing that?
So the FAA actually had I'll call it an edict from the who was it from? Basically, Congress asked them to come up with a set of recommendations on how to better regulate the use of drones within the national airspace, as a broad term, right? Because everybody could see coming, not just hobby use, but really for commercial use. How do we integrate unmanned with manned aircraft and keep the airspace safe, right? And the FAA for the longest time just drug their feet. And to be fair, right, I say drug their feet, but they're also understaffed, like many organizations. And they just couldn't put the focus on coming up with this, with a set of rules, right? So push came to shove, hysteria to some degree, and the excitement of DJI Phantom 3s at the time, and everybody saying, I'm going to buy one for Christmas, or at least that's what the news cast it as. Finally, the head of the FAA said, you got to do something, or the head of Congress, I forget which way it was, but said, you got to do something and do it soon. And so really somebody was forcing their hand to come out with something. So knee-jerk reaction, they came up with some rules. They felt justified in implementing them and enforcing them. And then someone challenged it, right, in the court of law, and they found it unlawful how they went about doing this. They had to get permission from the Congress to make these things, laws, basically. And they skipped that step. So will we see this come back around? I think so. It just has to run through all the proper channels.
So do I get my money back? That's the question.
No. So it will look different, probably. Is it a bad thing? It wasn't necessarily a bad thing to begin with.
It wasn't a bad
No.
thing, but I don't think it was effective. I mean,
No, it
making
wasn't.
the argument that it was for the safety of the American people, I think was quite frankly bullshit because you don't even register the drone. I mean, you guys know going through the process, you register yourself. You don't put how many kinds of drones you have. I mean, all the retired World War II veterans that fly their line of sight fixed wing aircraft were technically supposed to register too, and they weren't. The guys around here weren't doing it, but with
I think the bigger thing, two aspects, right, is one, they didn't force the need for like a knowledge test, right, and the passing of a knowledge test. So they didn't force the education of how to responsibly use one of these things. Mm-hmm. The other problem that you will continue to have, the FAA has zero enforcement arm. Mm-hmm. So, okay, so you register or you don't register. What does that really mean? Yeah. Unless you crash and do something really stupid and they get involved and then start asking questions, they're never going to find out. And I'm not advocating that anybody go do anything illegal, which you don't have to register now. But
yeah, if you did something dumb and flew your drone into a hot air balloon, and did cause some damage or something took place, right? Now, I'm not talking aircraft because I really don't think a drone can bring down an aircraft, in real terms. But something
really bring down,
but something perhaps maybe slice a hot air balloon or some fabric or something like that. Honestly, that's possible.
Yeah, because you wanted to zoom up there and get a cool picture of the hot air balloon, and you hit the balloon, cut it open, and they come crashing down, right?
Yeah,
a hot
I
air
can actually see that.
Is a lighter than airship, so it is actually an FAA regulated aircraft.
Correct.
You could get your butt in trouble for doing something.
And then at that point, I could see where they want to get involved or something like that. Because obviously they would, right? So
but the guy who goes and flies his drone into the hot air balloon isn't going to register in the first place, anyways. So
real good chance of that. So
but they'll probably find I would imagine they would find that drone, right? And it's registered somewhere. When they bought it, they probably register it, and they go back to the manufacturer and they'll find out who bought it. And
which kind of brings us back to the DJI thing. Is this an effort? And I'm not saying it's good or bad, but to basically officially state that they're going to link you to your serial number, and if requested, they're going to, say you do crash your Mavic somewhere out of line of sight, right? Because you're not supposed to fly out of line of sight. Not being a nanny, but you're not. You crash it, and someone picks it up, right? You did property damage. Someone picks it up, and DJI hands over the serial number log saying you own it.
I got a question for you. What regulates if you don't register with the FAA, right?
Yeah.
How do they regulate that you can't fly in line of sight? If they don't have jurisdiction over a hobby aircraft, so what rules do you follow?
They do have jurisdiction over the airspace, right? So the fact that you're flying in national airspace, which involves anything off the ground, I think by nature of the fact that we do have rules that regulate that airspace, they can still fine you. And that's always been kind of the stupid thing about having some additional rules just because it's a drone. You didn't really need them. We already had airspace rules. So if you look, okay, so you don't subscribe to AMA. Jeff, you're not an AMA member, and there's no reason necessarily for you to be, right? So the other thing was, a community-based organization, right? And their set of rules, which also the AMA says don't fly out of line of sight, right? That doesn't govern you.
No.
Yeah. So can you plead ignorance?
How do you know this?
Right. Well, and that's part of the missing education piece too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I would be in favor of registering your drone and then a online test before you register it that you have to complete so you understand something.
At least a simple set of rules, right?
Simple set of rules that you have to say you understand before you can register it, so you're fine, because there's no other way to do it.
Yeah.
Unless Dustin has a way that he's not sharing.
No. Nope.
Nope.
I mean, the good thing is if you're going to do it for commercial, right, which they can they govern? I guess they can govern that, right, because you're doing it for profit. You do have to do the proper 107. You do have to pass the knowledge test. So there is at least some checks and balances there. So you're taking responsibility there that you learn the content and you subscribe to it before you go and make money at doing it.
Yeah, but everything makes money, right? If you have a YouTube channel, it's making money. So at what level is that material?
Well, and they've tried to actually, on request, they have chased a few YouTubers for using quote unquote drones to capture video and make money on YouTube. The flight test folks, they actually, everybody that flies an aerial platform to capture the content they make, they all have Part 107s now. I
wonder if Casey Neistat had Part 107. Didn't look like he was like part of that,
I'm not thinking. Yeah,
I don't think he knows anything.
Yeah,
about flying drones.
Yeah, but
the way he loses them.
He loses them, and he makes a ton of money. The guy made a lot of money.
Yep.
Yeah, that guy's entertaining. I can see why people like to watch his stuff, but every time I saw him do anything with a drone, I'm like, you idiot, you're going to ruin it for everyone else.
Well, and he has a certain responsibility. There's a couple guys out there that have YouTube channels that do some questionable acts, flying against buildings and what have you. They're in the public eye, and they have, in my opinion, they have some responsibility to be that responsible example to everybody that's watching their channel. And I question,
those choices.
But
the choices of
the more
flying.
outrageous they are, the more money they make. The more risks they take, the more money they make.
But then you have copycats, right? And that's where everything starts going south.
Yeah,
Not
of course.
Against Florida, of course, in the south. But
yeah, exactly. Well, I guess it would be okay if you flew your Mavic into a Confederate statue. That's all right.
Not in my town, it wouldn't be.
Wait, the Chinese quad, though.
Yeah.
So what do you think the big announcement is tomorrow? I think everybody's pretty set on it being the Spark, right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the Mavic 2.
Yeah, right.
I bet you
the Mavic 1's not even cold yet, but it's going to be the Mavic 2. The Pro.
It's going to have, more obstacle avoidance in the back. It's going to be like the same features of the Pro. But I bet you that the price point of the Spark will be under $500.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing probably around $300.
How much?
Haven't they gotten? What's that?
I was going to guess 300 too.
Yeah, because I think they've gotten rid of the Phantom 3 standard now. I think that officially is dead. All the Phantom 3 line is dead, so they now don't have something in that lower bracket. The Maveric's pretty high end. The Pro, the 4 Pro, right, is high end. So they got a big gap now in that bottom end introductory. If you believe any of the stuff that people have been posting on leaked photos and what have you, Doesn't have folding arms, but it is, tiny. So it doesn't need them, I guess. Folding props. And then it's only a one-axis gimbal, right? Tilts up and down. Which if you watched, did you guys watch the promo video?
No.
Where? Yeah, so the promo video, my observation was that it didn't have any yaw stabilized image. It was only, up and down panning, which also it doesn't have the back and forth, or did it? No, I think it's only up and down. So if you yaw over, it's gonna.
Yeah, it's gonna.
Yeah. So unless they did something like the Mavic, where the actual camera lens, the physical element, rotates a little bit as the stabilization element, but so yeah, it should be interesting. But yeah, it's tomorrow, 24th. So be glued to my my iPhone at lunchtime.
What time is it? 11 something? 11:30?
Yeah.
Set a reminder right now.
There you go. So would you buy one? That's the next question. Yeah. If it's $300, would you get one?
No.
No.
Yeah, I mean the Mavic's already, you already dropped the dime on the Mavic. It's already portable.
Yeah.
And it's, for the most part takes gorgeous, photos and video.
And I haven't even. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say I have a feeling. Well, I know I'm not a selfie guy, and I have a feeling you two guys aren't selfie guys. So I think it's going to be more towards like the high school kids that want to have like the cool thing, or even college age, or I mean, I guess any age, but it's just like a novelty thing.
There's going to be, it's going to be like battle bots. People are going to get all scratched up. I mean, yeah, I'm going to take a selfie, see how close I can get it to my face.
Well, so the interesting, again, if you believe the leaks, it actually does have a IR forward-facing obstacle avoidance. So hopefully it doesn't crash into people's faces. That would be kind of a nightmare.
That would be a nightmare, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But that isn't going to prevent them from flying into trees and stuff.
And you think about it, something like that's 300 is a little bit up in, it's not disposable income, but like I'm looking like maybe $200, is disposable income, right? $300. If you crash it, then you have to, if you want to get it again, you're not going to have a refresh on it, right? So they're going to sell a lot of them, and then they're going to sell even more back to the people that destroy them. So it's gonna be kind of funny.
Yeah, you're gonna have a ton of people trying to fly them indoors.
Yeah,
and whacking into things.
Oh, they'll whack into everything.
They'll certainly sell a lot of props, right?
Yeah.
So
and paint chips. Yeah.
Yeah. So it should be interesting. Yeah, looking.
I hope they announce the Spark, but then I hope they have something up their sleeve that is even bigger and crazier that no one expected.
Right.
The one thing I wish they do, which you're not going to do, because they want to sell extra controllers, is I wish they had a app that you could just control the gimbal from like an Android phone or something like that for the Mavic. You don't have to buy another controller. You just use a phone, because you don't really need the whole thing.
You'd be limited by the range, though, I think. I don't think your phone
But the range would be between the two devices.
Controller, okay.
Yeah, between the two apps. It'd just be Wi-Fi between the phones. Or Bluetooth. Whatever.
I'd buy that.
Wi-Fi. I mean, they're actually pretty good at the Wi-Fi and long-range Wi-Fi. So I can definitely see it being that.
That would be my thing. Although I did do the Kickstarter for the, it's kind of like a remote monitor for iPhone or Android tablet. It's basically a 10-inch tablet that is Bluetooth between, mirrors it automatically to the other tablet. So, and they actually have it on the Kickstarter. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Super Tablet or something. It'll come out in December, hopefully. But they were showing it with a Mavic, where someone was like viewing it off of the controller of the Mavic, off the DJI Go app to the thing, because it just basically does like a screencast kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, so kind of like AirPlay for iOS or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's gonna help.
Yeah. No, there's we've used, my brother and I. He was the president of the band, high school band parents, and so we actually had taken the Phantom 3s before the Mavic came out to the field when they're practicing on the field, and launched them so that way the band instructor could actually get an overhead view of all the kids lined up and see where they were positioned. And so in that case, we gave him the tablet or the phone that we were using with a long cable in that case, and then we just held the control. But something like that would be fabulous. And then you don't have to buy the extra controller either.
Yeah. Have you ever used a live view, the stream to Facebook?
No, only because I didn't want to pay for the data usage.
Yeah.
I mean, I have T-Mobile, so it wouldn't cost me anything extra except for it would chew up all my data and wouldn't have for something else.
I've done it.
With that.
I've done the stream to YouTube before just to test it a couple times, and I was running off a cell service, and the latency for the person viewing it on the other end was just not good. Super pixelated, it was cutting out.
Did you have a strong cell connection?
Yeah, it was decent.
Yeah, okay.
But I haven't tried it. Lately.
Yeah, you gotta imagine it'd be pretty compressed, too.
Yeah,
piped over. So,
but I've seen a lot of Facebook live shots outside that have been pretty damn good, actually. For what it is.
Oh, so you have watched some?
Oh no, I'm just saying. On your, I've seen Facebook Live where people just use their phone and broadcasting, and it's not bad. I mean,
yeah, definitely watchable.
Totally watchable. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. It's almost set.
Yeah, just one quick last thought. I mentioned at the beginning of this show just about the filters. So 2 shows ago, I think I showed off the DJI filters, said how much I loved them and all that good stuff, and then proceeded to have the glue that attached the glass lens into the little plastic frame released on 2 of them, and on the 3rd one I hadn't really used it much, so I imagine at some point it would do it too. And then in trying to glue it back in, I actually cracked one of my lenses. Called up DJI or chatted through the online thing, and their final recommendation was that I could go and buy some additional filters as opposed to replacing them for me based on a failure of their freaking design, right? Not digging on DJI, but that wasn't a great answer in my opinion, since I just got it before. But okay, so that aside, and after reviewing and reading all about the Polar Pros and all these other, Taco RC and all that, and all the problems that people were having with those, I was kind of afraid to use those. But on the Mavic pilots.com forum, there's actually one gentleman from Polar Pro that actually has been supporting their product amazingly. And answering questions, all kinds of stuff. So I was reading through one of those threads and I said, what the heck, it seems like a pretty good company. They were on Shark Tank, so it makes them instantly great, right? I'm kidding there. But so I said, if I'm going to drop the dime, I'm going to get, they have 2 versions. They have the regulars, right? And then they have what they call the cinematic. Difference being is the regulars don't have all the extra coatings. So they're glass, they're ND, and they're half decent.
It's not polarized, right?
but they're also not polarized. And then they don't have what we call an index of refraction on IR, not IR is in IR light, but matching coding, right? So you move up to the cinematics, and they start adding these extra coatings, which what that does is when you have off-angle light coming in on the lens, it actually allows that to pass through as opposed to reflecting off, causing glare on the front of the lens. So it's actually a good thing to have. And you pay a little bit more for the cinematic, the cinema series lenses. And so there's the cinema ones, cinema pros, I think they're called. And then there's the cinema with polarizers built in. And now you spend another $10 for the polarizers. I'm like, if I'm going to drop a dime, I'm going to get the ones with the polarizers, right? And just first off, the clarity of the image, the saturation of the colors, it really did. The image all of a sudden did look so much more cinematic than at least the DJI camera by itself, the Mavic camera by itself, or the Mavic camera even with the DJI filters on them, which don't have all the extra coatings either. So I was impressed that way. The takeaway from using a polarizer is the fact that, and the one thing that you have to understand is the fact that the polarizer, what it does is standard light coming from an environment is oriented in all kinds of wavelength directions. And so a polarizer, your LCDs, your TVs, they all have polarizers on them. And they basically block the light coming in a particular orientation and allow it to pass in all the other orientations. And it actually cuts out as you rotate towards the blocking orientation. So that's what a polarizer does. Now, if you have polarizing sunglasses, you can actually hold it up to like your LCD monitor, your laptop or whatever. You can actually rotate them, and you'll see the picture all of a sudden disappear, right? And you come back, and it gets brighter, and then you can see the image again. And that's because you're aligning those polarizers such that the light's either blocked coming through the sunglasses or not. So that's basically what the polarizer does. And when you have light reflecting off a surface, like water, shiny car, all that light in that glare actually gets polarized or oriented in a common direction. And so when it heads towards the polarizer, if you rotate the polarizer in the proper orientation to stop that, all of a sudden, all that glare just magically, and it's almost magic, disappears. You can actually fly over your swimming pool and look into the water, where if you took the polarizer off and tried to look into the water, all you would see is a glare reflection off that water. So you put the polarizer on, and all of a sudden you're looking through and into the water and seeing what's in the pool, as opposed to the reflection. So that's what the polarizer does for you. And the key is to know that it does have a specific orientation, and you do have to align it properly for the glare. And that orientation does change, and I need to do some more experiments with this, just how much it does change, but does change throughout the day as the sun approaches the horizon. Mm-hmm. And it becomes a little more drastic as it gets towards the horizon than basically overhead. So what I did with mine was for a common day, sun shining off a puddle, actually it had just rained. I rotated it until I got all, looking through it with my eye, until I got all that glare completely gone. And as you rotate, you'll see the glare just all of a sudden, bam, disappear. And then I took a Sharpie and marked that orientation. So at least I have a starting point to get that orientation right.
The lenses aren't graduated.
They are not marked. No.
Oh.
Where that orientation starts, or
Yeah.
Yep. And so Polar Pro, their argument there is because the polarization direction changes throughout the day for optimal rejection of glare.
Right.
That's why they don't bother to mark it.
Yeah, but it would be good to know, this is 180.
Right. Exactly. Because because even if you always use that orientation, you will get some rejection because it's not. It is actually pretty sharp as you rotate it. You actually see the glare reduce a little bit, and then all of a sudden you'll just see it. Bam! It actually disappears completely. So it is a pretty sharp and narrow area of the lens, orientation that it does disappear. But at least you know roughly where the right orientation is. So that's why I marked mine with a Sharpie.
So what filters did you get? Did you get like 16?
So here was the other thing. It's actually, I'm not sure why they do this, but they have you can select from 3 different groupings.
Grades. Yeah.
Right. So you can select from the non-polarized, and you get 3 filters. And it actually starts at, I believe, 8, 16, 32. You can select from just the polarized, which is what I did. So I got 3 filters, and it actually starts from 4, 8, and 16. Why is it different? Personally, I actually want a 4, and I want an 8, and I want a 16. And I actually think, I guess I'll go to the beach and I'll find out I'm completely wrong. But 32 is way too harsh for most shootings, right? And so what if my ISO is up, a little bit higher? It's if I'm shooting with the 16 ND16 and the ISO is slightly higher, it's still gonna, it's not gonna really make that much difference. If you're a purist, I get it, and I'm not gonna argue that point. But I actually think 32, except for on the brightest and the most reflective, maybe white sandy day, is actually not really needed. So 4, 8, and a 16 in is my preference anyhow. So that's the other reason I actually did pick the polarizers, because the non-polarized ones start at 8, go to 16 and 32. So then the third pack is you actually get all 6 of them, and that's like $120. So you have something to select from. The somewhat unique thing about the polarized ones is if you actually orient it, and you may get some artifacts if you do this, so it may not be, again, a pure way to do it. But if the orientation this way blocks glare, the orientation this way absolutely won't block glare.
Yeah.
Right. The thing that you may actually get is a little bit of banding in the sky, so you may have to play with that orientation a little bit. But you can basically, point being is you can actually get the same effect you would get with the non-polarized by just orienting it correctly. But do you really need the non-polarized ones? Again, it's personal preference.
Yeah. So how much was the tab on this?
So those filters are they $75? $75, $80. Amazon.com, 2 days shipping.
For the 3.
For the 3, yeah. So I mean, a little bit pricey. The DJI ones, again, those are 35. So big difference, right?
So
but
when
the DJI ones didn't hold up for me.
So when you put it on, it's still allowed for the gimbal to.
Absolutely, yeah. So that was the other thing. The newest design goes on very easy. Slips on. You want to make sure you're not cocked at all, but it slides on. You have to have the gimbal lock on, which I would suggest even with the DJI ones. But gimbal lock on, and it just slides on, and you push a little bit more, and it kind of clicks on in place. Really slick design now they got. So it works really well.
And then initialization doesn't hit anything.
Not a problem. The things are light as a feather. If you're worried that, the original ones did hit, right? And I also think they were a bit heavier too. So these are definitely light. If they're a gram heavier than the DJI ones,
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Big whoop, right?
Well, it's a totally different design. It's not like a 3-clip thing. It's a completely
right, and it is a positive lock, and it slides on, and then you get to the little resistor point, and you just push a little further, and you feel it pop on, and it's locked on. And then again, you take it off, and a little bit of fingernails, right, and put the lock on to protect your gimbal, and just slide it off.
Hello.
Careful, they are teeny, they are light, and they do slip around your hand. So they want to cup and just kind of pop it into your hand or something.
I have to admit, I got the DJI, and
I'm sorry for that. I told you to do that.
No. I still like, and I just leave the ND16s on. I don't even take
so
it
you
off.
fly with the 16.
Yeah, because I fly during the day. You
Yep.
know, I'm not flying at night. You know, it's always bright. It's here in Napa, you know, so it's, and I don't even bother taking it off. I just leave it on the stupid.
Yeah, and a lot of people actually do that, which is fine too.
Yeah.
Do you know what, just offhand, what your settings on the camera come out to be?
I think I left them on at automatic.
Okay. Which is it's gonna balance everything anyhow for you, so
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. Yeah. And from our previous podcast, you know, you throw up the little histogram and you play a little bit with the EV just to help further balance that range.
Well, yeah. And what I'm doing is I'm correcting it in a little post-op. You know, I do the sharpness a little bit more, you know, and it seems to work for me pretty well. So, you know, and I'm not a photographer, so when I show it to somebody, they go, "Hey, this looks really good." So yeah. I'm going, "All right, that's the effect I was shooting for."
Right, exactly. I mean, the one thing I would suggest is if you take off, right, and you get the camera all set and you get the image you want and all the exposure set, you know, even automatically, just to temporarily switch over to manual to lock it. Because the one thing you will see with this particular camera is that as you're flying a scene, you may get a little bit of stair-step change in brightness or what have you, just because it doesn't have the same, it doesn't have a real aperture is the one thing, where the Phantoms do. So it basically, analog can change that aperture. So it's a lot smoother between the,
transitions.
The transitions. So by locking in manually, you know, you force it not to change. But, you know, if you're getting the output you like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all good. Cool.
So far, so good anyways.
Yeah. So that's all I got.
That's great. You know, I can't wait to break my clips.
Yeah, right. Spend some more money. But don't worry, the lens will pop out first.
Yeah, exactly. So the glue's just going to give away from the heat.
That's true. But yeah, no, I actually have to. I'll send some photos. You know, some clips from the video. It was night and day difference. The clarity of the picture and you just had that cinematic feel to the imagery. It's kind of cool.
I'll give
so
it a
definitely
shot.
worth the money.
Cool.
I think so far.
I might have to get some of those too.
Yeah.
$80, you said?
$80, and go with the
$150
polarizers,
for
and
you.
then rotate them. You know, if you don't want the if you want the glare, sometimes you want the glare in the effect, right? You want some of that kind of glint, even off the water and stuff. So you just rotate that polarizer to bring it back, basically, and look at the one area where you'll see possible banding is the blue sky will do some funky things. So just keep an eye on that. You know, if it's a clear sky day, so that way you don't get any funky effect from that. But otherwise, yeah, I think the polarizer is all you need, unless you want to drop the dime on the full set.
Yeah, it's hard to adjust the polarizer when it's in the air, right? So.
Well, that's kind of the wacky thing, right? You know, they're like, the response, and I appreciate, you know, again, the responses, but, you know, I'm like, well, is it really worth it if I have to take off, land, keep adjusting it? It's like, well, you may have to do that if you truly want that perfect cinematic look. It's like, okay, I get it. That's why I bought the Fly More and got 3 batteries, right? So I can use one battery to adjust my polarizer. Like, hold on. Just hold on. I got to get the camera set.
1 second. Don't let that sun move.
1 more second.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I think we should wrap it up. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. It was a great time, though.
Parting thoughts?
Just fly safe, right? And
fly safe.
Keep the rest of us out of trouble.
All right.
Like that.
We'll see you guys in a little bit. I'm going to stop the broadcast, and then we'll chat offline, and we'll be good to go.
Awesome.
Adios.